Hey everybody, I am busily preparing for the launch of the Tangled Web, and today I want to share a little more with you about what this book means to me. This is definitely the book I wish I'd had when I began writing mysteries, but I want to talk a little bit about why that is, what I think it could have done for younger Jane, and what I hope it might be able to do for you. But we're gonna take a little bit of a roundabout path to get there. First, I'm going to need a little help from the greatest comic strip of this or any era, Calvin and Hobbes. In this strip, Calvin asks his dad, how do they know the load limit on bridges? And Dad says, they drive bigger and bigger trucks over the bridge until it breaks, then they weigh the last truck and rebuild the bridge. Oh, says Calvin, I should have guessed. Okay, this is ridiculous, right? We know it's ridiculous, that's why it's funny. But it is honestly how I feel most writers are told to work. We're told to just sit down and pound the words out, get it all out on paper. We're told to use word quotas to keep ourselves on track as though any words would do. Just keep pouring out that text every day. And yeah, I do feel this is just like building a bridge without taking the time to understand the physics underlying it. Then, when we're most of the way into a manuscript, we sit down and we try to figure it out. Maybe we ask our friends for some comments. Here's the point where we ask, are the characters working? Will the solution come together? Is it all going to end in a place that makes the reader hungry to read the next book? Here, in short, is where we ask what the load limit is. How strong is the bridge we've built, and where might it have structural problems? And once we locate those structural problems, we have to fix them. But first, we have to haul away all the rubble that was left in their wake. That scene you spent a week getting just right, it's history. Get it out of here. That character who wasn't working for anyone, she's out. But she also appeared in 17 scenes, and she has a major romance with another important character, so we're gonna have to redesign all those parts. It's exhausting. And you know what else it is? It's expensive. That is exactly why your city doesn't build bridges the way Calvin's dad describes, because tearing them down and rebuilding them is a significant cost. When your city builds a bridge, it does so carefully because it represents a huge investment in cold hard cash. But here's the thing, we writers are investing in our books too. In fact, we're spending something arguably a lot more important than money. We're investing our time. Tearing down your story and rebuilding may be free in terms of dollars, but it's not free. We each have only a finite number of books we will get to write in our lifetime, and if we take twice as long to write each of them as we might have done, it's plain to see that things start to fall off the shelf. Okay, what does that have to do with the Tangled Web? Well, I'm getting there, but let me shift gears for a moment and talk about my husband. My husband is a technical director for a major video game publisher. And what he does is he helps smaller studios shepherd their games to completion. One of the first things he always does is go over the studio's plans and assess what he calls the technical risks of the project, the things that could really make the production schedule go off the rails. And what he's trying to identify is those things that can really make your ship date slip by 50% or more. Now, any aspect of a game can cause slippage by, say, 10%. But there are certain things that really carry that heavy risk of spooling out your production schedule, and thus your investment by a huge amount. And what's one technical risk every game has? Using the wrong engine. In video game parlance, the engine is the code that powers the game's core systems. Choosing your engine is a foundational choice. Everything you develop from this point forward is going to need to rely on that engine being rock steady and appropriate to the project. Getting this choice right from the get-go is so important, because if you choose the wrong engine or if you make a change later, it's going to require so much work to adapt, and that is going to massively impact your investment. In mystery writing, we can think of the engine as the core murder plot. The villain and victim, the motive that links them, the way the crime is carried out, and the clues that allow the sleuth to uncover it. That's the engine. That's the core of our book that we need running in a nice, smooth pace to deliver an ending that's going to be surprising and yet also satisfying for readers of the genre. And just like a game studio, you want to think of the design decisions you make to construct that engine as critical, absolutely foundational. Getting this right from the beginning is really going to have a huge impact on the time you must invest in your novel. Again, just like with a game, any aspect of your book can cause your time investment to spool out by 10% or so. Maybe you make some character tweaks, maybe you need an extra round of polish. But the engine engine is key. Getting this wrong is the biggest thing that can really force you to redo massive amounts of work. And getting it right is exactly what the Tangled Web is designed to help you do. In this book, we go through everything, step by step, start to finish. We talk about choosing a hook for your novel, developing an iconic sleuth, and creating a villain with a believable motive. I talk you through plotting out the crime at the heart of your book, the clues that will result from it, and the ways those clues will be hidden in plain sight. We discuss the mechanics of creating false suspects who distract the reader from your eventual solution, and we talk about exactly how to plot the villain's escalated cover-up, that is, what he does when things start to go wrong. But it's more than that. I've also got chapters on story structure, plot twists, and everything you're going to need to build the purring engine of your dreams. Okay, what if you've watched this whole video and you honestly want nothing to do with it? You're a discovery writer and you just couldn't imagine how boring it would be to plot out your book ahead of time. That's great. This book is still going to help you, and let me explain why. Remember back in 3rd grade when you drilled on your timetables? You got to where you never had to think about what 8 times 5 was or 7 times 2. You just knew it instantly. You internalized the answers to all these little equations. Then later on in algebra, when you had to do more complicated equations, it was easy because you would look at a 24 and you could see the 8 and the 3, the 6 and the 4, the 12 and the 2. You understood the underlying logic of mathematics, and that enabled you to do higher level calculations. This book is going to do the same thing for your mystery writing. It's going to help you understand the underlying logic of mystery plots so that when you're discovery writing, you have access to a huge number of techniques. It's going to help you understand all the different kinds of alibis and the different reasons someone might be motivated to kill. It's going to give you a mystery writing vocabulary filled with terms like time shifting, escalated cover-up, and narrative murder. And it's going to give you so many different techniques for hiding clues. Once you've got all these concepts in your head, you've got them in your toolbox, and you can pull them out anytime you want while discovery writing your mystery. However you want to write your mystery, I really hope this book will help you get there. It is my absolute love letter to everyone who's watched my videos, and it releases on July 29th. Now, if you'd like to watch me go through the steps in this book to shepherd an idea for a mystery from hook to full outline, that video is coming up. I'm going to be releasing that video on launch day, July 29th, and we're going to see whether I can outline a mystery in just 8 hours.